Good morning, it's September 6th, and this is to my liberal friends. When is telling something false a lie, and when is it just a little embellishment? It's a fair question because the media seems to have two different standards for that question, and it depends on who's talking. Donald Trump has said a lot of things that we knew at the time were false. Right out of the gate, he announced that more people attended his inauguration than attended Barack Obama's. And all you had to do was look at the photos and you knew it was not a true statement. The real estimates are that 1.7 million attended the first Obama inauguration and about 800,000 attended Trump's. That's not even close. But nobody expected it to be close. Obama's inauguration was transformative. He was the first black president. Trump's inauguration was on par with other inaugurations since Reagan moved the ceremony to the west front of the Capitol. My first inauguration was for Jimmy Carter in 1977, and it was on the east front, which severely limited the attendance. But they immediately pounced on Trump, declaring him a liar. The Washington Post even began to chronicle and count what they claimed were false statements by President Trump. They ran that total to 30,573, which averaged out to about 21 false claims each and every day of his presidency. Now, I would leave it up to the listener to determine which of these statements were actually false, but the mere fact that they were counting shows a journalistic bias. Now, I will admit that Trump was his own worst enemy, and his prolific use of social media made him an easy target for making false claims. If only someone had had the courage and ability to take his phone away from him, keep him off Twitter, he might have sailed to victory for a second term. It's his penchant for telling lies that has him in legal jeopardy. The case on January 6th and the case in Atlanta are all predicated on the prosecutor being able to prove not that what he said was false, but that he knew it was false and said it anyway. That, in my mind, is a difficult case to prove because you have to know his own state of mind. And nobody can know that other than the speaker himself. In a piece in the Washington Post on January 23, 2021, right after Biden's inauguration, they wrote, quote, "One hallmark of Trump's fibs was his willingness to constantly repeat the same claims, no matter how often they've been debunked. 1/5 of his nearly 2,500 claims about the economy was the same falsehood, and that he was responsible for the greatest economy in U.S. history," end quote. Now, they also pointed out that over 300 times, Trump claimed that he had passed the biggest tax cut in history. Well, it didn't turn out that way. Reagan's tax cut in '81 amounted to 2.9% of gross national product, and in the end, the Trump-era tax cut was equivalent of 0.9% of GNP. Turns out it was only the 8th largest tax cut in history. Now, the reason I'm pointing out that Trump has not always been truthful is that when he made these misstatements, the media began to call him out and referred to him as a serial liar. So now we have to make the transition to Joe Biden. If you want to call Trump a liar, then you certainly have to put the same moniker on Joe Biden. And we can go way back into his life to find lying and cheating that was a pattern long before he arrived in the Oval Office. He was caught plagiarizing while at law school. He was caught plagiarizing a speech from Neil Kinnock, a British politician that forced him out of a run for the presidency in 1988. And I could recite numerous occasions where Biden has plagiarized different authors and speakers, including John F. Kennedy and Hubert Humphrey and others. Of course, we can all remember the numerous times that Joe Biden embellished, we'll call it, his academic record. Fact is, he lied. He claimed to have graduated from the University of Delaware with 3 degrees, when in fact he graduated with a single degree in political science and history. He has embellished his undergraduate success so much that when he had to be called on it, when questioned by a reporter, he said, and I quote, "I won the international MOOC competition. I was the outstanding student in the political science department as an undergraduate. I graduated with 3 degrees from undergraduate school, and I'd be delighted to sit back and compare my IQ to yours if you'd like," end quote. Well, let's go to the facts. In law school, he claimed to have gone on a full scholarship, which turned out to be false. He claimed to have finished in the top part of his class at Syracuse University Law School, when the transcript shows that he finished 79th out of 87. And I think we're all familiar with the lies Biden tells about himself as he tries to engender some form of communication with an audience. They change from audience to audience with the basic there, but the terms changing to fit the day. Now, the media can ignore these and just call them embellishments or fail to even mention them. But he has also told some real whoppers in recent months about his presidential accomplishments. And let's be honest, those comments about his academics, they were flat out lies. They weren't embellishments, they were lies. He knew what he was saying. And Biden has repeatedly said that wages and salaries are rising for American workers. But in 20 of the past 22 months, wages have fallen below inflation. And since he entered office, wages and salaries are up roughly 12%, but inflation is up over 15%. So you're losing buying power. The public knows it, but Joe Biden doesn't seem to get it. His second big lie out there is when he says he's created more jobs than any other modern president. But that is counting the jobs that were mostly created under Trump but disappeared during COVID when the economy shut down. Biden's counting the millions of jobs that reappeared when businesses reopened. No matter who was president, most of those jobs were coming back. So that's a lie. Number 3 on his hit parade of lies is that America is producing a record amount of oil and gas. A new study by the University of Chicago economist Casey Mulligan finds that the United States would be producing roughly 2 million more barrels of oil a day if we had stuck with a Trump pro-American energy production. Now, my favorite lie is when Biden says he's cut the deficit by $1.7 trillion. Even the Washington Post is giving him Pinocchio lies for this one. Over the past 12 months, the budget deficit has exceeded $2 trillion. He based this claim on it coming down from its record high due to his prolific spending, and even reducing the deficit, he's still lying when he makes this claim. And finally, on the campaign trail, Biden and his staff have been bragging about gasoline costing about $3.39 a gallon. I point out it's over $4 where I live, and the people in California, Oregon, Washington, Nevada are seeing it close to that $5 high mark. But Biden admits that when he took office, it was $2.49 per gallon. I think it's time for the media, who are in love with Joe Biden and hate Donald Trump, to start covering the facts. And if they're going to call out Donald Trump for his lies, then they should be pointing out the lies that Joe Biden also tells on a daily basis. That would be journalistic honesty and integrity, and maybe they would quit lying to themselves. This has been To My Liberal Friends. Thanks for listening. If you enjoy the podcast, subscribe, recommend your friends, and if you have a comment, please leave it.